Hi, get Jack Kings, always online. Yeah, greetings, fellow Amazonians. Sorry for coming impromptu again once more. I believe everyone has been watching what CRTV is showing right now. I'm coming with some good news. Based on critical analysis, I will be analyzing this from an intellectual standpoint. I appreciate everyone for being up this late at night to watch this particular edition. So if you're joining me, I intended to make this live because I don't have the time to record it, upload, and share. So after this should be downloaded and shared to everyone. So greetings, Erica, Zara, Philip, David, and the rest. Greetings to you all. Today, I want to talk about something which is happening right now in Cameroon, in neighboring Cameroon. All of us, we are watching exactly what is happening on CRTV Live. CRTV is live broadcasting its reaction to the EU declaration or the EU resolution right now as I speak. First, there are three key pointers. There is a possible, very possible military intervention anytime soon in neighboring Cameroon. It is very, very likely. I will tell you why. Second, La Republique du Cameroon holding a press conference at midnight. It is indicative of the fact that there is something bigger to happen. La Republique du Cameroon is holding a press conference as I speak with at least 6 ministers all present at midnight. There is something happening. And number 3, La Republique du Cameroon, as of today, the 22nd of April 2014 and 19, has sent a delegation to the EU. It is no coincidence that a delegation is present at the EU headquarters in Belgium. La Republique holding a press conference at 12 midnight. As I speak, the press conference is still holding. 8 ministers all present, full-blown ministers all present, reading a very long reaction and disclaiming that they are not responsible for any crimes as accused by the European Parliament. And the third, La Republique du Cameroon holding this conference at midnight. There is something big to happen. Listen, guys, we are winning this case. Let me give you indications. Whenever there is a crime committed that violates humanity, let me put it in specific context: war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. These are the 3 things on which any country intervenes into any other country's domestic affair. If you violate war crimes, which Cameroon has done, if you violate genocide laws, which Cameroon has done, and crimes against humanity, any of these 3 are eligible for any intervention by any democracy. Normally, states don't interfere into another one's affair, but they would interfere on grounds of humanity, as they did in Libya, as they did in Iraq. You can interfere on grounds of humanity, saving human lives. You can interfere on humanitarian grounds, and you can interfere if they violate international laws. For example, laws like the Geneva Conventions and all of those. On these 3 grounds, or any of these 3, or 2 of the 3, states can interfere. It is what we call third-party interveners. They can interfere militarily. What is happening right now is bigger than most people or analysts have said. And this is what I'm coming to say and get it from my mouth. This is happening right now in Amazonia. It is happening in Cameroon, if you want to put it. Amazonia still remains a quasi-state. This is exactly what is happening. The crimes, normally in international law, crimes are being reported by the citizens. That means you and me. This is the procedure for military intervention. First, citizens will report the crimes to those power states that are concerned about it. For example, democracies. Us, the citizens, we've reported that to all of these Western countries. It is no news to them. Second, when those citizens report, they flag those evidence, the evidence of violations, crimes against humanity, war crimes. They flag those evidence to those countries. And those countries now get into investigation to prove that there is a cause, there is something happening truly, as reported by these victims who are citizens of probably an autocratic regime. Once that is done, then MPs within those countries, those EU countries, would rise up to do what we call a vote. When those MPs do a vote, it is in consonance with democratic principles, because in those countries they believe that there is a rule of law. That means a president is not more than the citizens. The citizens are the ones paying their taxes. And so if any country has to intervene into another country, it is based on the citizens' taxes. So this is why the citizens would come in. The citizens, as represented by their MPs, have to vote whether they have to intervene or not. If the MPs vote against, then the state cannot intervene. But we've seen states like the United States literally intervening when they have not voted. But it is very, very rare in international relations. So this is what happens. Those MPs represent all of the citizens. And when those MPs vote, then it becomes law when an executive branch signs and ratifies the vote. We are already at the brink of a military intervention in Cameroon. The citizens of Africa, or you can call it Ambazonia or Cameroon, have reported to the right quarters. The right quarters have now voted through their MPs. That means the citizens, there's what they call domestic cost or audience cost. They have now voted. They have now endorsed what the citizens of those countries who pay their taxes want. They want a military intervention. When the MPs have all voted, this is exactly how it goes. The MPs now channel that to the executive branch. Remember, Montesquieu defined a perfect government as having three branches. One, the legislative, the judiciary, and the executive. In this case, we've already seen the judiciary investigating those crimes, passing them to the legislative. The legislative have now voted through the 28 member states of the EU, and now it is left for the executive to act. So that resolution has been given to the executive branch, and the executive branch will now be acting on that resolution at any time from now. This happens in Libya. All the MPs of the United Kingdom and Europe voted for a military intervention in Libya. Get this clear. In 2011, all the British MPs voted and endorsed a military intervention in Libya on grounds of 1, violating human rights, gross violation of human rights, 2, genocide, and 3, war crimes. That is why they voted and passed a resolution to impose what they call a no-fly zone. Remember, you cannot, as any state in the world, any democracy does not intervene into another country if they don't have the accord from their own citizens. And who represents the citizens? The MPs represent the citizens. So get this serious. What the EU is doing is very big than most people see it. Analysts have not talked about this, and this is why I'm coming urgently to announce it. La Republique to Cameroon already knows that this is becoming so big. That is why they are holding a press conference as I speak. As I'm talking right now, switch to CLTV page. I have been awoken by this particular press conference. They are holding a press conference as we speak, as I speak right now, with 8 ministers, full-blown ministers, all denying that there is no crime against humanity, and saying that they are trying as much as possible to hold the country on democratic principles. Get this clear. The EU is right now on the brink of intervening in Africa, in Cameroon. Remember, it is consistent with what Nibortagi or Taginibo or Nigbotagi or whatever. It is consistent with what he said, that the next case is Cameroon. Those diplomats are not fools. There are people who study conflicts. There are people who know exactly how conflicts operate. There are people who know the indicators of conflict. If you've been reading the Foreign Policy magazine, the Foreign Policy is what we, the security analysts, always look at daily. We take it as our breakfast, our tea, and as our coffee. The security policy in 2009, last year, in December 2018, clearly stated that among the 10 conflicts in the world to watch for in 2019, Cameroon tops that chart. I mean, back in just months ago, 5 months ago, December 2019, it was clearly written in Foreign Policy magazine that among the 10 conflicts across the entire world. That means among 193 countries in the world, they've selected 10 conflicts that you have to watch for in 2019. Cameroon tops that chart. Cameroon and Yemen tops those charts. It is clear, listen, we are already on the brink of having a third-party military intervention in Cameroon. It is already very clear. The MPs who represent those citizens in those democracies have voted. It is left for the executive to endorse, to rubber stamp that vote, and you will see a military intervention anytime soon. That is why those who understand politics, those who understand international politics, those who understand international security will tell you that any time from now, don't be surprised. They've already documented enough of those evidence for genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and we're already on the brink of having this come to a fruition. Listen, guys, La République du Cameroon is panicking as we speak, holding a press conference at 12 midnight. Where did you ever see that happen? Holding a press conference with 8 ministers at 12 midnight. Where did you ever see that happen? Holding a press conference at the same time they sent a delegation to the EU, the European Union Parliament, as we speak of this at this moment. Where did you ever see that happen? Holding a press conference when 28 member states have voted in a resolution to be passed against Cameroon. When they say to be passed in international politics means to be endorsed by the executive branch. It is left for only the executive to rubber stamp that resolution, and you will see a number. It could be called Resolution 1520. It could be called Resolution 1480. Libya had its own specific resolution number. All resolutions have their specific numbers. So what they are waiting for is a matricule for that particular resolution. And once that matricule is granted, that is when you will see Cameroon falling down. Guys, look, this is the biggest news ever. However, we will take the opportunity for this military intervention to get our independence. Remember, a stabilized Cameroon can never give you an independence. It's only through a destabilized Cameroon that we can advocate to be a people on our own territory, and govern ourselves through self-rule. I have given you the processes on which third-party interveners would often intervene in conflicts. But remember, the 1961 Vienna Conventions on Diplomatic Practices clearly state that no intervention into any other state's domestic affair. But now it transgresses the boundary of a domestic affair when you violate any of these 3 I'm about to cite. Genocide, it is no longer a matter of a domestic affair. War crimes, it is no longer a matter of a domestic affair. Crimes against humanity, it is no longer a matter of a domestic affair. Any other thing else is a domestic affair. We are on the top of our game. It has already happened. The evidence abound. Amnesty International has reported. Human Rights Watch has reported. Fact-based organizations have reported. Taginibo or Nibotabi has been there to see it for himself and has confirmed. Everyone has confirmed. And the reports from citizens abound. So listen, there is a clear case of a military intervention in Cameroon. Others would look at it as a regime change. It is not a regime change. Others would look at it as some kind of a thing to push La République du Cameroon regime out. It is not. They are clearly intervening on grounds that if this continues under the regime of Mr. Paul Biya, the entire people of Ambazonia would become an endangered species, as declared already by the Dublin Declaration of the Ambazonia Governing Council. But listen, guys, we are already very close. There is nothing more the EU can do. The best they have done, and they would end at it, would be only that resolution that has been passed. Remember, 4 days ago or last week, it was still a matter of an adoption. They were still to vote for that resolution. They basically wrote out and adopted. They adopted, but they did not vote it. So later on, they voted, and everyone voted with a majority overwhelming vote that Cameroon should be, the case of Cameroon should be intervened militarily and economically. And listen, it has already happened. They have voted overwhelmingly to intervene in Cameroon. That is why you see Cameroon's regime panicking. There is nothing Cameroon can do again. They cannot lobby any of those states out. Even France is helpless. France is a member of the EU. So when 28 member states, all EU member states, vote against something, even France becomes hopeless. What France is looking for right now would only be a candidate that can succeed Mr. Paul Biya. But that is not our problem. They are now propping up Kamto, who is most likely to be the next president of Cameroon because he's a political prisoner. That is their business. My own business in this case is the Ambazonia case. But from every indication, our neighboring Cameroon would be the next regime to fall. I have given you this from an expert analysis. I'm not giving you with any kind of a bias. So digest this information, and this information will remain with you till it happens. You will tell me and come back to say, Tapang a prophet. I am not a prophet. I am giving you what will happen in the next 1 month from now. Get this clear. And democracies act very swift. It is not as if a resolution has been passed and they will slip over it. No. Look at the time when the EU members started debating about this in Parliament, made the adoption, and look at the day they voted. They made the adoption today and they voted against Cameroon the next day. Democracies act very swift, especially when lives are concerned and when there is evidence to substantiate their claims. So democracies act very, very swift. So get this clear. We are on the winning side of history. The way we've operated thus far has made La Republique panic. 8 member states, 8 ministers sitting as we speak this night. As I will end, they are still talking, trying to defend themselves to God knows where. They've invited even the UN headquarters in Bastos. They have not shown up. They are speaking to themselves, trying to defend themselves, sitting with all those ministers, standing and defending themselves in a press conference to a local press. They would not succeed. They are playing after the game. The match has ended for La Republique du Cameroon. But how do we get our independence amid this? This is a matter for all the leaders to start thinking of an exit strategy from La Republique du Cameroon. Believe me or not, whether you talk about Ambazonia, it is still considered as part of Cameroon. But how do we quickly exit ourselves from Cameroon? We have to take the advantage of this moment. This is the best time when Cameroon has been destabilized. We create our state, stamp out our state, make ourselves an independent country, and elect our own leader immediately after that transition is done. We cannot give them a breathing space. Now they are coming to intervene militarily. Cameroon will be destabilized, and that is when we get in fully. Remember, there is always a procedure for third-party interveners. First, countries, or those victims, or those countries, or those victims in those countries, like the Cameroonians, report what is happening in their country to a democracy. Those democracies, because they believe in the rule of law, that means how to constrain excess overflow of power. They pass it to the legislative, and the legislative represents the people. That means the MPs. The MPs now vote whether to accept this or not, whether to intervene or not, whether to do what or not, whether to sanction or not. The MPs have to vote whether this case is eligible to be voted. Our case has been eligible, has been made eligible to be voted at the EU Parliament. And that is why we are seeing all of this coming up. Now they have voted. What happens next? Now, after the vote has been passed and the resolution made, it is being sent now to the executive arm. There is a representative body of all the EU member states, an executive representative body of all the EU member states. That resolution has been sent to that executive branch, and it will be passed now as a resolution. That means it will be codified. The name of that resolution will be codified. For example, whether it's Operation Barbarossa, or Operation Sea Lion, or Operation Desert Storm, the name will be codified. Maybe a resolution 1520, a resolution 2013, it will be codified. That is the stage at which we are right now. La Republique is only trying desperate tactics to play against it. When states have already voted something, there is no way turning back. It only happens in Cameroon. So we have already gone past that level. The play that the Ambazonia Governing Council did at the EU was a very smart move that no MP in the EU could be corrupted to vote against. So this is the message I'm coming to pass here. Sorry, I'm on a very brief working trip. That's why I'm reporting from my hotel room. So basically, forgive me for this, but I hope this message goes far and wide. Stay clear, stay blessed. I wish you all the best. Bye-bye.